Hello everyone, my name is Leonardo, I'm the founder of Lotus Patholistics. Today I'm going to talk to you about the next spiritual life lesson in my video series, and it's about narcissism. Now narcissism actually comes from a Greek myth about a demigod who fell in love with his own beauty, so much that he drowned in his own reflection. And then the myth actually pushes on the notion that vanity can cause emotional immaturity due to excessive amounts of self-esteem. So in psychology today, narcissism is actually defined as an excessive state of self-admiration. And it's about oneself and also their appearance. So to be a narcissist, it means that you're basically deeply self-involved, and you also have like a point to ignore people's feelings along the way and focus on yourself as if the world revolves around you. Now, it's like having an inflated ego, right? And that ego overshadows everyone else, every person you live with, every person in your family, and you do that for the sake of keeping their attention and keeping that ego inflated. So, because a lot of that self-identity in our lives is actually built in our childhood, usually narcissism has its roots in how we were raised throughout our life. So there's two types of narcissists. Basic personas that we can actually quantify in today's psychology. One is the more dominant narcissist, which is called a grandiose narcissist. Someone's more aggressive and less emotional, has more of a superiority complex based in their childhood of feeling important and almost like too special. Sometimes even spoiled childs can become sort of narcissistic as they grow up because they ignore everyone else's emotions around them. Then you have the vulnerable narcissist, who is the more submissive and passive narcissist, someone who's triggered by a lot of things and very sensitive, and they want to feel important, so important because in their childhoods, they were neglected or abused. So as a clairvoyant practitioner, I can actually see energy in the form of auras and chakras and soul energy that lives in everything. So from my perspective, I've met lots of narcissistic people in my time, and there are people who just cannot connect with other people because they're very self-involved. The way it looks to me and the way it feels to me when I read somebody is someone who is completely lack of emotional empathy. Like they can't connect to the world around them. For some reason there's like a huge barrier around their aura, and they just can't bond with the outside world as well as other people. And therefore, narcissistic people tend to feel alone, and then they grab extra attention from other people in very negative ways because they don't know how to bring themselves balance from within. So when I see a narcissistic person, not only do they have a locked aura, but they have a lot of vortex-like energy around their soul that is all-encompassing. Just everything falls into it, kind of like a white hole, but it's like a black hole. And that type of energy actually tries to suck things in because they feel, alone in everything, and they need energy. So, narcissism can definitely take place in a lot of different people in different ways. But spiritually wise, from my perspective, narcissism is definitely just an emotional lack. It is an emotional, mental lack of stability in a soul. And therefore, someone is bound to reach out for more attention from people that is not needed in their persona and in their relationships. Like they shouldn't have to, but they do. So today I want to talk to you about 6 ways that narcissists hinder your spiritual growth. Now, every spiritual person and every person in general have spiritual gifts inside of them. We all have these gifts that are sitting dormant. And if you're one of those people who have a very, very spiritualist point of view and your emotions come out of you and you're an empath and all of those things, you will have more sensitivity than others. And you being around narcissists will hurt a lot. So let me point out to you these 6 causes and effects of how your gifts can actually be hindered because of being around, growing up around, or dating people who tend to be narcissistic. Number 1 is going to be about how narcissists can tend to be very, very defensive, very, very sensitive and irritable to the point that they see everything as a threat. Now, when you're spiritual, and spiritual people have this forgiving tendency to feel and forgive, the forgiving nature and a loving, caring nature, but a deeply rooted nature. Spiritual people can care about you and protect you, and they have emotional strength like none other. So narcissistic people can actually leech onto that, rootedness and then actually start to feed on that and feel safe with you and need you to feel safe. So that gift will definitely, suffer because of being around somebody who wants all that foundational work that they don't have in you. So the second trait that a narcissist will have or may have is actually anxiousness, stressed out personalities, being insecure, but just not emotionally open or vulnerable all throughout. So this can really deeply affect a spiritual person when a spiritual person is highly sensitive, which most spiritual people are. Highly sensitive and perceptive, emotionally open. When you're dating someone or you're friends with someone who tends to be just emotionally closed and just so anxious because they can't open up and bond with people in your way, they will use you to connect to other people. And you don't want that in a friendship or relationship. You don't want that in any connection where someone needs you to connect to other people. It can definitely drain you of emotional growth in the long run. So the third trait that narcissists express is a very manipulative and controlling behavior. Usually trying to run things in the home or run a whole brigade with the family and the friends. Now, with spiritual people tend to be very, very strong-willed about their mission in life. They know that they're out there and they're very responsible for everyone that they meet. They care so much, and unfortunately, spiritual people tend to steer towards people that need them. So narcissists can definitely make it all about needing, them versus you needing to help people who need the help. So never get confused by someone with narcissistic behaviors that are controlling, because they can definitely control your own controlling factors in your life, and you don't really need that. So the fourth is a lack of empathy. Narcissists definitely have lacks of empathy and lacks of connectiveness, and they can't seem to care about others in the way that they need to. So with spiritual people, we tend to be very loving and very compassionate. And all that love, so many people deserve, but narcissists will try to keep your heart to themselves. And you need to have your heart open to other people to help as many people as you can in your life. So don't ever let a narcissist actually bring you down and make your heart so closed off from the world. That's when you're not really following your true path. So then there's the fifth trait of a narcissist, which is a sense of entitlement and superiority over everything that you do. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be, the one with all the knowledge in the family, in the home. They know everything. And spiritual people have an inner knowing. They have this inner knowing, this inner knowledge that comes with them when they're born. And, spiritual people tend to be too kind, too considerate, and definitely are able to bring out the truth in other people. So, being around a narcissist can definitely be draining in those regards, because you are definitely expressing a lot of truth in the world, expressing so many beautiful things. And narcissists could tend to just control that and just say, hey, my truth is more important than your truth. And you're like, but truth is relevant and subjective. But you will find those clashes, and you shouldn't let narcissistic people that want to make it all about them hinder your spiritual feelings about how to expose truth and help people find truth in their life. So the sixth trait that a narcissist has is a need for attention and a need for admiration all the time. And they will want you to see only them and to focus on only them. They want all your attention, and for spiritual people, we tend to be connected to the entire world. We're connected to the spiritual world, we're connected to everything. And we're connected to nature as well. So then, when you see things so clearly and you see the good in all people, they want you to see the good in them, even though they don't see the good in themselves. So if you're wasting your time, connecting to someone who just wants it to be focused only on them and all your attention is put towards that, sometimes it can be very toxic, and you should be careful with that so that you can actually help people who want their innocence to be protected and to help it, support a loving environment versus actually giving all that attention to a narcissist. Now, we're definitely going to be able to talk about this on our Spiritual Wellness podcast on this Friday at 6 p.m. Myself and Luna Dawn, my great friend, we are going to talk about narcissism in the community, in the homes, at work. So definitely stop by so you can ask your questions and actually share some tips of your own on how to deal with narcissism. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you so much for listening, and it was a pleasure having you.